Hi everyone, welcome back to Almost Normal. Today was one of the most unproductive days I have ever had, and it's interesting because yesterday I had this whole plan for today and I was like, okay, I have these prints that I want to get framed. The minute they open, I'm going to go early to the framers so they're not just like sitting in the back of my cupboard anymore. They're actually going to be able to be put up on the wall in my house. And then from the framers, I'm going to go straight to school and I'm going to paint all day because I have so much to do. I don't quite understand what happened. There's a few reasons for the unproductiveness of the day, but basically I ended up waking up at 11 a.m. So the idea of me going to the framers and then going to school by 11 a.m. was completely out the window at that point. For some reason, I decided to just like go back to sleep. I was in like a half asleep state as it was. Anyway, I closed my eyes and before I knew it, it was 1 p.m. I was getting out of bed at 1 p.m., which feels absolutely horrible. It took me ages to get out of that funk of like, Rita, you ruined the day. Like, why did you go to bed and wake up at 1 p.m.? Like, what is that? Like, what makes you think you're able to do that? You have like one of the busiest semesters at school ever and you're thinking you can just sleep in on a Monday till 1 p.m. That is not allowed. That is not allowed. Like, I don't have classes on Mondays, but that does not mean that Monday is not a day for work. Like, what am I doing? And so anyway, what was meant to be the most productive day of my life ended up being the least productive day. The only thing I did productive at all was I went to the art supply shop and I bought paintbrushes. That's it. Literally, that is it. Other than that, I've just been sitting at home, annoyed at myself for not getting anything done, and then trying to like pep myself up to do something, to do some reading, to do some writing, anything, and I just failed at everything. So anyway, here we are. And it's currently 10 past 5 in the afternoon. There's a small chance I didn't set my alarm. You know, there's a small chance that I went to bed last night and I just didn't set an alarm. I could definitely say, oh, well, I just think my alarm didn't go off, you know, which is, I've said this before. In my heart of hearts, if I'm being absolutely true to myself, I know that whenever I have said, I don't think my alarm went off, it's so annoying. That usually means I just did not set an alarm or I didn't charge my phone or like there is something that I did which prevented my alarm from going off and waking me up. The other problem with this theory is that I actually did wake up at 11, which yes, was a bit late, but I still woke up and for some reason I decided to go straight back to sleep. So I can't really blame it on the fact that my alarm didn't go off. Like everything was my doing. Literally everything was my doing. Another theory was that I was kind of up late last night because I was having a girls' night at my house. A few friends came over, we ordered Chinese food, and we made, no. There is someone blowing leaves across the street. I feel like this has happened before, and it's so irritating because I don't know when they stop. But hopefully you can't hear it too loud. It seems like it's slightly further away than it usually is. I'm just gonna move myself back, see if that makes a difference. But yeah, last night I had a girls' night. My friends came over and we ordered Chinese food and we made sober margaritas and we made cookies and we gossiped and watched TikToks and sat in the hot tub and talked about boys, and it was just like so fun and lovely. And I think everyone left at like 12:30 or something, which is not that late, but then I was sort of hyped, so I found it kind of hard to like fall asleep again. But it was so fun and I was like genuinely excited for the girls' night. I just kind of wanted to talk today a bit about like redefining fun when you get sober. Because I can tell you one thing, that when I was drinking and doing drugs, having a sober girls' night where we were drinking fake margaritas and eating cookies and talking to each other, like, I can tell you for a fact that sounded very unappealing to me. Unless there was wine or something. Like, I would not be excited about that. I would go, but I wouldn't be excited about it. And to be honest, if it was any girls' night I was going to, there would be alcohol. You know, before I got sober, anything I went to, I would be bringing alcohol or I would be hanging out with people that would have alcohol. So being invited to a sober girls' night was not exactly something that was on the cards for me as an active addict. But it is now as a sober person, and I am proud to say that I get genuinely excited and happy for those nights, genuine feelings of joy and excitement. When I first got sober, I was under the impression I would never ever have fun again. Ever, ever. Like, how can you enjoy doing something without being high? Like, how can you get excited about something that doesn't involve alcohol and like getting fucked up and like making mistakes? Like, I didn't understand how anyone could like genuinely want to do anything like that. It was confusing to me. All I wanted to do was get fucked up. All I wanted to do. And like during the days, if it seemed like too inappropriate to be drinking, I would just wait. And I would just wait for the nighttime until someone was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I would be like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Let's get drunk, you know? And I would just sleep in all day and just wait for the night until it was like appropriate for me to get wasted. And that was all I found enjoyable. Literally, that was the only thing I ever wanted to do. Okay, hi guys, sorry, the leaf blower just kept inching closer and closer to my house until it was insanely loud. I couldn't even hear myself think. So anyway, he's gone for now. Though he has tricked me in the past and come back, so let's see, fingers crossed he's done. I don't actually know how many leaves he could possibly need to be blowing, but I think they've like, basically in California, you have to keep certain trees, I want to say like 3 feet away from your house, and so a few times a year, you have to get all your leaves and trees trimmed, so I think that's what's happening next door. I think before winter and before summer, you have to get it done, otherwise you get in trouble. I think because of fires. It's like if there's a fire and the tree's on fire, you don't want it too close to the house, otherwise the house will get on fire, so it does make sense. But that's all I wanted to do. That was all I found fun. Anything that involved alcohol or drugs, I was there, and anything that didn't, I was pretty much completely uninterested in it. And so yes, when I got sober, my biggest concern was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna have fun ever again. Like, dinner's not gonna be fun without alcohol. How am I gonna go to a birthday party with alcohol? How am I gonna get married and not drink champagne? Like, what? I can't do that, you know. I can't do, I'm gonna be so bored, you know. I'm gonna just be doing all of these things that are meant to be fun and I'm gonna be bored. Like, I can't do this, you know. And that was a huge fear of mine, getting sober. It was the one thing that genuinely almost stopped me from getting sober, because I felt like if I was doing this thing and I was resisting alcohol and drugs, like there must be a reason for it and my life must improve once I do that. Otherwise, like, what is the point? And so a while after getting sober, I felt like I didn't have any friends. I felt like I enjoyed nothing. I was bored, I was resentful, and I was just jealous of everyone who could drink. And I was like, I don't feel like my life feels better. Like, I feel like my life felt more fun and more enjoyable when I was like drinking and doing drugs all the time, because at least I was like excited for things. Yes, I felt like shit every single day, but I still was having much more fun. And now I'm bored. So like, what is the point of this? And that was my mentality. And I genuinely thought I would feel like this forever. And that's a really scary feeling, because it's like, that is your life, you know, and you want to have fun and you want to enjoy things. And there are these parts of life that people talk about where alcohol is so ingrained in it, just like, you know, getting married. Like, you typically have champagne at your wedding and people get drunk at your wedding, and that's kind of how weddings are not advertised, but that's the idea you get from weddings, like from movies and TV, and you know, you just have this particular idea about your wedding day and what comes with it. So I was terrified. I was really scared. I really couldn't imagine myself being sober for much longer, because I was absolutely just bored. This weekend, hopefully, fingers crossed, this weekend coming, I believe, or is it next weekend? Not this weekend, but next weekend, fingers crossed, I will have 4 years of sobriety, which is insane. I've been sober for more of my adult life than I was drinking, which is crazy. Really, really crazy. I don't even really remember myself being a drunk, which is insane. I know it was bad, but like I can't picture myself as that person anymore. But look, it took a lot of work to get here. It wasn't easy. I hate when people are like, oh, like, if drinking is making you sad, why don't you just stop? It's just like, it's not that easy. Like, if you're an alcoholic, if you're an addict of any kind, like, it is so hard to stop. It's so hard. And my heart goes out to anyone who is dealing with it, because it is one of the hardest fucking things ever. A lot is because there's such a stigma towards it, where people are like, if you make mistakes when you drink, why don't you just stop drinking? It's like, literally, just, yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, maybe you know what? I'm not an addict anymore. I'm just going to stop drinking. Like, you're right. Well done. Thank you so much. Like, literally hate when people say things like that. And getting sober, I found really hard, because I felt like absolute garbage getting sober. And I felt like I couldn't really talk to anyone about it, because I was afraid that they were going to be like, so you're just not drinking, like that's not really that big of a deal. Luckily though, over time I found really, really supportive people, and I live in LA, and there is a huge community of sober people in LA, especially young people, which is kind of amazing. Like, I did not think that all these young, cool women were getting sober, but they're out there, and I was absolutely surprised. I thought that when I got sober, I was going to have to hang out with like old, grizzly men who like smoke cigars, and I thought I was just going to be so completely the only young girl in the meetings and stuff, and like how wrong I was. It's crazy. But one thing that I really had to work on over these almost 4 years is finding joy in life without alcohol and drugs. That has been a huge thing for me, and I am not saying I'm over it at all. There are times when I go out and I feel jealous and upset that I'm not allowed to drink alcohol and get drunk, or like go into the bathroom and do drugs with people. Like, I certainly still have those moments where I'm at a party and I'm resentful of everyone else who's allowed to drink and do all of that stuff, because it just looks so fun, and like I'm not really having that good of a time at the party right now. Probably because everyone else is drunk, and it's hard to talk to people when you're sober who are wasted, because you're just like, shut the fuck up, you know? But something I really had to work on was finding joy and fun in sobriety. And it is not easy. It is not easy. When all you know is drinking, when every single event you ever went to before had drinking involved, especially if you're a socially anxious person, as I am, like, drinking allowed me to have fun. Drinking allowed me to talk to people and socialize. Like, when I went to a party, I would find it so hard to talk to people until I was drinking, and then I found it much easier. So I also had to learn how to find confidence in myself to talk to people, to socialize, and like, it's all so difficult. You're basically having to just like relearn how to be a person, and you're basically trying to like relearn about yourself, or even learn about yourself for the first time. Like, I actually don't think I even knew myself at all when I was drinking and doing drugs. Like, I thought that I was this party girl, and that was my purpose in life, was to like be a good time with people. Now that I don't have the alcohol and drugs, that's not me at all. That's not me at all. Like, I am no longer a people pleaser. You know, I don't go and get wasted because someone asked me to anymore. I don't even really go clubbing anymore because I just don't feel like it. You know, being a people pleaser was a big problem of mine. I would just always want everyone to think of me as the fun party girl, and like, I would never let anyone down, and I was always like up for having a good time, no matter if I was sick or hungover or busy or whatever. Like, I would be there. Don't worry, like, I'll be there to have a good time with you guys. And that's who I thought I was, and I was just like it was just so far from the truth. I was just being blinded by all the substances that I was taking, and it was making me feel like I was a different person, and it was giving me an understanding of myself that was totally false. And I think that when I got sober, that's why it was so hard for me, because I was like, I am a party girl. That is who I am. I am the fun girl who does drugs and drinks and is crazy and has all these crazy stories. Like, that is who I am. So who am I if you take away those alcohol and drugs? I'm not going to be that person. I'm just going to be nobody. I'm going to be nothing. And how wrong I was. Like, getting sober has been the best thing of my life ever, the best decision I've ever made, because I'm actually able to learn about the real me. And I can tell you that if you think that your personality is the best when you're drinking and doing drugs and like that's what defines you, it's not. I promise you it is not. If you are struggling with addiction and you are finding it hard because you just don't know who you are without it, that was my problem. I just did not know who I was without alcohol and drugs. I had no interests, no passions, nothing. I didn't love anything. I didn't hate anything. I didn't really have opinions on anything. Like, I didn't really have anything to say because I had been relying on drugs and alcohol so heavily for my personality that when I decided to stop drinking and doing them, I had no idea who I was. No idea. Was I confident? Was I shy? Like, was I an introvert? Was I an extrovert? Was I a little bit of both? Like, I had no idea. No idea, I didn't even really know what like foods I liked or anything like that. I was just completely lost because I had allowed alcohol and drugs to just completely define who I was for such a long time that I was given no space, no time to learn who I was. And so getting sober, I just felt like I was just nothing. I just felt like I was nobody. I wasn't interesting. I didn't have anything to say, and that was like a really hard thing to get past, definitely. Especially if you live in somewhere like LA, like now I can see that I am blessed to be living here because the sober community, the sober community in LA is like no other. It's amazing. But when I first got sober and I wasn't aware of how great the sober community was in LA, if you're on the other side of it and you're going to all these parties, like the drug scene, which is now thinking about it probably why the sobriety scene is so great here, but like the drug scene is also amazing here. Not amazing, but it's like intense. It's a lot. It's probably bigger than most places are. And so getting sober, I started on that side of the city. I was going to parties still where people were drinking and doing whatever, and I just could not navigate it, and I ended up being such a hermit. I just isolated myself because I was like, oh my God, like, I can't be in this world anymore, but I don't know any other world. When I started to get to know some sober people, who, by the way, the sober people that I met in the beginning are my best friends now. Like, all the people I met and all the people who helped me get sober in the beginning, they are my world. They are my best friends. They have helped me through everything. I was hanging out with them last night. Like, those people are true and real. Most of them, there have been one or two exceptions of people that I don't talk to anymore that I first got sober with, but for the most part, like, everyone that I got sober with is still in my life and is such a big part of my life. And I will say that those girls, I love them for so many reasons, but one of the huge reasons that I love them is because they taught me a world that was fun and enjoyable that did not have drugs and alcohol in it. And that was something I had never experienced before. Like, maybe I did meet sober people along the way, but I was just too wasted to even notice or even ask or even care, And these girls helped me understand that there is a much bigger world to enjoy, and you do not need substances in order to enjoy them. You just don't. And they helped me learn how to love myself and understand myself in a way that I never have. They inspired me to put in the work to get to know who I am. And I have never had to do that before. I never really had to sit down and be like, who the fuck am I? What do I enjoy? What do I hate? Like, I've never had to do that before because I was just always drunk, always high. Like, I didn't need to do that work on myself because I was busy, I was who I was because of the alcohol and the drugs, and that was it. Like, I didn't need to do the work. And these girls, just seeing how they lived and seeing how they enjoyed themselves and seeing how they had so much fun was just so inspiring for me to do the work. And it like allowed me and inspired me to sit down and be like, I want to be like these people. I see something in them that I love. And I have never felt that way about someone who is sober before, but now I'm intrigued. You know, I find it interesting. I would like to be like them. I would like to have the confidence that they have. Like when I first got sober, I was the least confident person in the world because I never had real confidence. All my confidence came from substances. Like I never had real confidence. I never had the natural ability to talk to someone or anything like that. Like I never ever had that. I was a very shy child. And then I got into drinking, and then I sort of came out of my shell a little bit. But then when I got the alcohol and the drugs taken away, I was shy. I was that shy child again because I didn't have those years where I was developing my confidence and my social skills because they were completely just overrode by drugs and alcohol. I had no reason to learn how to be confident or learn how to make small talk or anything like that. I had no idea. And so when I got sober, I was just that really, really shy girl all over again. And I didn't know how to talk to people, and I didn't know how to have fun, basically. I did not know how to have fun. Okay, sorry, the guy started blowing leaves again. Sorry. But, oh, Jesus, hold on. Okay, hi, sorry, the guy started blowing leaves again. I think it must be over by now. It's already almost 6 p.m, so I am hoping he's over. Getting sober has taught me that I was genuinely just so bored with life when I was drinking and doing drugs because my life literally was only that. It was only getting wasted. That was the only thing I was interested in. And now that I've been given a chance to learn about myself, life is so much fuller. It's insane. It's like insane how boring and like simple my life was back then, and not in a good way. And it wasn't actually simple. It was full of chaos, full of drama, full of high highs and full of the lowest lows. Like it was simple because I wasn't doing anything, but it was chaotic, hectic, like not simple at all in some ways. And now my life is simple in the fact that I am calm. Yes, I suffer from OCD and anxiety, but like I was also suffering from those things before when I was drinking and using. And now I'm medicating it in a proper way where I'm able to actually enjoy life. Life is so much bigger now. And it's so amazing, the transformation I've had mentally since getting sober. It's incredible. And I will say that like each year it gets better. Each year I learn something new about myself. And I've been sober for almost 4 years now, and I'll say that I'm still learning. I am still getting to know myself, and it's really wonderful, and my life is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year I'm sober, and it's really, really exciting. And I'll say after the first year of sobriety, like I was still struggling a lot, and I am by no means not struggling now. I have my days where I reminisce about the old times, and I think about me as a teenager and how much fun I used to have, and I reminisce about the old me and like sort of sometimes even mourn the old me. I get emotional about how far away I am from that person, and I sort of romanticize those days of me being a crazy person and I miss it sometimes. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I genuinely miss that person and I question like who I am now and like what I've become. But over time, I am able to remind myself of what it was like then and like how I am now. And it is night and day in difference. I am an actual genuinely nice person, and I was not back then. I was probably a genuinely nice person, but everything I was interested in and all the people I was hanging out with just made me not a nice person. And now I can say with confidence that I would genuinely consider myself an actually nice person, which is a nice thing to be able to say about yourself. Before, I was just excited about one thing, and so there was like kind of like only one emotion going on in me, or two. There was me being excited to do drugs, or there was me coming down from the drugs and feeling absolutely horrible. And that was kind of the bandwidth of emotion for me, like up, like to there and then down. And now I am excited about so many different things. I'm excited about travel. I'm excited about school. I like feel joy when I've had a productive day. So not today, but I feel excited to like see my friends and like understand like what they've been going through or what they've been doing. Before, I didn't care at all what anyone was up to. I couldn't care less. Wasn't interesting to me at all. The weather is starting to get a bit cooler now, and I'm like actually excited about wearing cute sweaters and putting outfits together. Before, I would just put anything on, slap some makeup on and just go out, and I wouldn't even think about my outfits or anything. I wouldn't even really care. I would just always wear black. And now like putting an outfit together is so exciting to me, and I feel happy while I'm wearing it. I am so excited to go eat food. My love for food has come back, and that is something that I am so grateful for. I'm so grateful to be excited about getting my favorite foods or like trying a new restaurant or something. Like that's something I find real joy from. I love treating my body well. I went to Pilates yesterday, and like this morning I'm like achy and my stomach muscles hurt, and like I feel like I can't stretch properly, but I am so happy to like treat my body well. And yes, Pilates is absolute torture sometimes. So the class I had yesterday, the what do you call him? The instructor, I think he was like one of the hardest instructors I've ever experienced in that place. But after, I felt like so happy, and I was just like, well done, you did a nice thing for your body, that's great. And then after, I went to this place where they just serve toast with various things on them, and I was excited about that and happy about that, and I was excited to sit outside, and it was kind of a warm day, but there was a breeze to it, and I just felt happy. I feel happy when I drink water. I'm like, yay, you're doing a good thing for your body. Like, I'm going to see a movie tonight with my friends. I'm excited to see it. It's meant to be horrible, but I'm excited to see it, you know? And I just want to say, like, I am someone who did not want to be sober, you know? I knew I had to be, but I did not want to be. And I genuinely had fears that I would never enjoy life. I would never have a good time. And, you know, when I first got sober and I would see people say like, oh, I love going on hikes and I love shopping and I love catching up with friends and all of that without alcohol, I would always say to myself like, I don't think that person really loved doing drugs and drinking that much, because like, I don't know, I just don't believe them. I feel like they probably weren't into that lifestyle as much as I am, you know? So, okay, fine, they find joy now in sobriety, but like, I'm not gonna. Like, I love everything I've been doing before. I just didn't like how I felt the day after. So, like, I have been in that place where I would hear people with a bunch of sobriety time, and I would hear them say how great life is and how excited they are for the days. And I would just be like, okay, I don't think that's going to be me. Like, that person probably really didn't like going out as much as I did. And so it's really hard to like hear that experience from someone else and like believe it 100%, because I know I did not. But I just want to say, like, if you are going through it, if you're just getting sober and you feel like life is absolutely meaningless, I understand 100%. Like, I was there. I did not feel excited about life at all. I genuinely thought I was not going to have a good time ever again. And I'm just like, I just want to say that I totally get it if you're feeling that way. And I'm not going to lie to you, like, yes, I still struggle sometimes. I still wonder if I could drink again, like, would I have fun again? I'm out for dinner sometimes and I get jealous of people who have a martini or a glass of wine. Like, I want to be that person sometimes, and I'm not going to lie and say that I'm like, oh, I love life now and I just never want to be that person again. Like, that's not true either. Like, I have times where I really struggle. Sometimes I have to go home from nights out because I'm not feeling it and I don't really genuinely want to drink, but I'm feeling jealous of people who are drinking, and I just find it hard to deal with it sometimes. So I'm definitely not here saying like, once you get sober, life is brilliant. Like, it's better, but it doesn't come without its struggles. It doesn't come without the hard times. So yeah, I just wanted to say, just because I'm almost 4 years sober, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I had a girls' night last night, and I'm going to the movies tonight, and I just feel absolutely like joyful and happy to be able to do those things. And it just kind of reminded me of a time where I never thought this was possible, never thought that I would be able to have a fun time. I thought people who were sober were boring and like didn't understand like how fun life could be. But actually, now that I've been sober and an active addict, I can tell you that I, as an active addict, didn't know how fun life could be. I really didn't. I did not understand all the joys there were in life. I see a tree that I like and it makes me happy. You know, certain smells bring me joy. Like small things I was just looking over completely. In active addiction, I was not enjoying life at all. I was not taking in all of the fun that life had to offer at all. I was focusing on one thing that I thought was making life so fun and dramatic and chaotic, and I thought, yeah, this is what I love. And just giving myself a chance to understand the world as a sober person has been incredible, and I am now aware of all of the wonderful things, the small and the big things in life that I would never have experienced if I had remained, or if I had never gotten sober. I would have never even known that they were out there, and it's just such a wonderful feeling to enjoy these things. I was at a meeting the other day and this woman was saying that her sister had a baby and that she is so happy that she was able to go to her sister's house and hold the baby and stay and be interested in the baby and be trusted to hold the baby at all. And she was saying that it was one of the most incredible experiences that she's ever had, and she would never ever have experienced it had she not gotten sober, because her sister probably wouldn't have let her in the house, or she wouldn't have let her hold the child or whatever. And like, I think that if you just give yourself the chance to see what life could be like, and it takes much longer for some people, it takes, completely different times for different people to sort of see what life could be like, and I understand that. But I'm so thankful that I gave myself the chance to see a different life, But yeah, I'm just excited, and having my friends come over and making fake cocktails and drinking and like eating cookies before did not sound like much fun, but I can tell you now that is like, sounds incredible, sounds amazing. Going to the cinema with my friends like I'm doing tonight, like that didn't sound that fun either before, and now I'm like excited to see it and talk about it and like be able to go out for dinners now and like be in conversation about the movie I just saw and just have opinions and like ideas. And life is just so, like, my life now is just, it's night and day from what it used to be. And I thought I was enjoying life then, and it just took me a while. It took me a second to learn that like I was not enjoying any life. I was like under the perceived notion that I was enjoying life, but I absolutely wasn't enjoying anything about life, and I wasn't experiencing anything, and I wasn't taking anything that the world had to offer me. I was just keeping my world extremely small. And yeah, I think one thing that people don't really talk about in sobriety is like how hard it is to sort of let go of like being fun or like having fun, and how hard it is to actually learn how to have fun. And that was a huge thing for me, just learning how to have fun. And there's nothing I can really say that'll like probably explain it to anyone, but I will say that it can happen, and I will let you know that I loved doing drugs. I loved it. It was my favorite thing. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, maybe she just didn't like drugs as much as me, like, I understand that feeling. I felt that way about other people. And I'm just like so grateful that I gave myself the chance to learn a different type of life. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that a bit today, because sort of came to the realization that one, I'm like I almost have 4 years, and also that I sort of realized and remembered that, like, oh, me having a girls' night like this, like, wouldn't have been fun, like, a few years ago for me. And I just realized how special it is that I can now learn to enjoy those things. And also, like, just one thing, like, just the joy of being there for people is, like, unexplainable. And it's so lovely and nice to feel like you're there for other people. And that's something I didn't have when I was drinking. I was never there for anyone else. I wasn't even really there for myself. I was just sort of like floating through life. But anyway, I gotta go because I gotta go see Megalopolis. Very excited to see it. I'll let you guys know how it is. But I love you guys so much. And if you are experiencing anything about what I've talked about today, don't hesitate to send me a message or like comment below or anything. And I have a lot of like tips and stuff for going out to parties as a sober person that I kind of touched on in a previous video, but if you ever want me to explain more about anything, like, I'm happy to. But yeah, I really love you guys, and I will see you next time. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe. It's super helpful to me, and it could be super helpful to you because you can see every time I post. But I really love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Okay, I love you. Bye. Bye.